Hi guys, welcome to chapter 6. We're going to talk about country assessment today, which is very important for our strategies is to determine whether a country is feasible to enter. And so this is a really important topic, and it really takes into consideration the factors that we talked about in the other chapters about taking into consideration market size, growth of that market, competition, trade barriers and regulations, and being members of a trade bloc. So we are learning in this chapter how to put all of those things together in a more formal assessment, in a more systematic way to determine whether a country is feasible for us to enter. And so what we're going to do today is go over the screening process for a specific country. And we're going to start with broad terms. We're going, as you can see on the graph on the figure, we're going to start with the major overview of a country, and then we're going to narrow it down to more specific information that we need to collect in order for us to realize whether it's a good idea or not to go into that place. And so as you can see on your first vignette on the beginning of the chapter, which is the IKEA vignette, they took a few years to really sharpen this specific system, and they used this screening process to help them determine where to go and where to expand their store. So read that. It's a very good example of what companies do in order to expand, and how they collect information, and how with each opening and with each screening process, the next one gets easier and easier and easier. Okay, so we're gonna go through the screening process, and there are 4 stages for this process. The first stage is the stage where you identify a set of countries. So you can look at a block, as we had mentioned before, a block which is a set of countries that work together. You can look at the European Union, you can look at NAFTA, or North America or Latin America, Asia. You can look at certain sections or regions in the world and look at different countries and assess which ones would be a good opportunity. So during this analysis, you look at the big picture. You look at the environment, you look at their population, you look at the political risk, you look at regulations and tariffs, but you do it at a broader scale. You take a look, a big picture to the environment, and see if it's a good idea to go into these countries. Places where you can look at these resources. Where can you find this information? You can look at the World Bank, you can look at the United Nations, you can look at OECD. There's a lot of different places where you can look for this information, and they're in your book too, so you can take a look at those. And once you have identified a specific number of blocks, then you go into the second stage, which is you rate each of those countries based on these factors. So you can create like a spreadsheet and list the different countries and list the different factors that you're testing based on what you want to qualify them with. So you can take a look at political risk, terrorism, tariffs, and you can assign a specific number, a specific grade for each of those, and weights, so that you can come to an overall number. An example of that is on page 210 of your book, so I recommend that you take a look at that. We're also going to be working on an example during class, so that gives you a better understanding of how to do an assessment individually per country. So you can do that. So let's say, for example, that you're looking at Turkey and other countries, and you think that Turkey and some of the nearby countries are a good option for you to enter based on their population and the environment. But once you do a closer assessment of Turkey, you realize that its political instability is not going to be good for your business. So then you can, reject that country and leave the other ones, or make a different choice in country. So in any part of these stages, when you do this, you can reject a country if it's not something that will go with your company. You can just remove those. So that's stage number 2. At this stage, you also take a look at costs and decide if you have the resources to enter this particular market. And you get a rough estimate of what you're going to be spending, and hopefully you can have access to that information. Okay.